All right, let's talk about something that totally flipped modern business on its head. Total quality management. You might hear it called TQM. And trust me, this isn't just some boring business jargon. It's a whole philosophy that changed, well, pretty much everything, from how a product gets designed to how you're treated as a customer. So let's dive right in. So here's what we've got on tap. We're going to start with the surprisingly huge cost of, well, getting things wrong. Then we'll look at the big ideas that started this whole movement and what TQM is really all about. After that, we'll get our hands dirty with some of the actual tools companies use. And to wrap it all up, we'll see what it takes to be considered the absolute gold standard of quality. Look, we all know poor quality is annoying, but for a business, it's way more than that. It's a silent killer for the bottom line. I mean, we've all been there, haven't we? The airline loses your luggage. The dry cleaner somehow makes your clothes more wrinkled. Your pizza shows up late and it's not even what you ordered. Or my personal favorite, you buy something brand new and it's broken right out of the box. It's super frustrating for us, but for the companies behind these screw-ups, these are more than just little oopsies. They're failures in quality, and they have very real consequences. And that is exactly where Total Quality Management, TQM, steps in. Think of it as a company-wide game plan to stop those problems from ever happening. The key idea here is that it's integrated. That means it's not just some department's job, it's everyone's job. From the person at the very top all the way down to the newest hire on the front line. Everyone owns a piece of the quality puzzle. Okay, so we're annoyed. But what does that really cost a company? What's the actual price tag on these mistakes? Well, let me tell you, it's a lot bigger than you'd probably guess. So the experts break down the cost of quality into 4 buckets. It's helpful to think of it like this. 2 of these are investments and 2 are failures. On the investment side, you've got prevention costs, things like planning and training to stop bad stuff from happening. Then you've got appraisal costs, inspections, testing, all that jazz to catch defects. Now, on the other side, the ugly side, are the failure costs. Internal ones are bad enough, like having to scrap a whole batch of product before it leaves the factory. But the really scary ones are the external failure costs. That's when the mistake gets to the customer. We're talking recalls, repairs, and a trashed reputation. The whole point is to spend a little money upfront on prevention so you don't have to spend a ton of money later cleaning up a mess. And this right here, this visual drives the point home perfectly. It's sometimes called the 1-10-100 rule. Catch a mistake in the design phase, maybe it costs you $1 to fix. Catch it during production, now it's $10. But what happens if that defect gets all the way out the door and into the customer's hands? It could easily cost you $100 or even $1,000 to deal with it. The further down the line a problem travels, the more expensive it gets, exponentially. It's a simple, powerful reason to get it right the first time. Okay, so once businesses really grasped this cost concept, it sparked a total revolution in how they thought about quality. The game changed. It wasn't just about playing defense and catching mistakes anymore. The new goal was to play offense, to build a system where those mistakes couldn't happen in the first place. You can really see this shift happen over time. Back in the day, quality control was basically a guy at the end of the assembly line looking for duds to toss in a bin. It was completely reactive. Fast forward to the 1980s and beyond, and the whole mindset has done a 180. The focus is now on being proactive, building quality into the entire process, right from the get-go. And what's driving it all? The customer. It's all about meeting and even exceeding their expectations. Now, this huge change in perspective didn't just happen on its own. It was spearheaded by a handful of absolute giants, the minds who literally wrote the book on quality. And you can see how their ideas really stack on top of each other. You've got W. Edwards Deming, who pointed the finger directly at management. He said most problems are system problems, not people problems. Then Joseph Juran comes along and gives us this brilliant definition: quality is just fitness for use. Does it do what the customer needs it to do? Philip Crosby was the money guy. He's the one who coined the phrase quality is free, hammering home that it costs way more to fix things than to prevent them. And then you have guys like Ishikawa and Taguchi who gave us the actual nuts and bolts tools to make it all happen. It's like they each added a crucial piece to the puzzle. All right, so when you put all those brilliant ideas together, you get the TQM philosophy. Let's break down what it really stands for. TQM is really built on 4 main pillars. It all starts with the customer, always. The customer gets to define what quality is, period. Second, there's continuous improvement. You might know the Japanese term Kaizen. It's this idea that you're never finished getting better. It's a journey, not a destination. And how do you do that? Well, that brings us to the 3rd pillar, employee empowerment. You have to give the people actually doing the work the power to make things better. And finally, the team approach. The best ideas don't come from one person in a corner office, they come from teams working together to solve problems. And this is the engine that drives that continuous improvement. It's called the Plan, Do, Study, Act cycle, or PDSA. It looks simple, but it's incredibly powerful. You plan a change, you do it on a small scale, you study the results, did it work? Then you act on what you learned. You either adopt the change or you start the cycle all over again with a new plan. It's a constant loop of learning and improving. Never stops. Okay, now here's an idea from Kaoru Ishikawa that is a total game changer. It's the concept of the internal customer. Think about it. In any process, the next person in line who gets your work, they are your customer. So if you're in sales, the accounting department that needs your paperwork is your customer. This simple mental shift is huge. It forces everyone to think about quality at every single handoff, not just at the very end when the product goes to the final buyer. All right, so the philosophy is great, but TQM isn't just a bunch of nice ideas. It's intensely practical. It actually gives people a toolbox to work with. These are often called the 7 basic tools of quality. And the key word there is basic. They're not super complicated statistical models. They're simple, visual tools anyone can use. A flowchart to map out a process. A fishbone diagram to brainstorm the root cause of a problem. A Pareto chart to figure out which problems will give you the most bang for your buck if you solve them. They're all about making problems visible so teams can actually tackle them. And then, for the really complex stuff, there's a beast of a tool called the House of Quality. It looks complicated, but the idea is pure genius. It's a way to translate what customers say they want, vague things like, I want it to be durable, into the specific technical language that engineers need. So durable becomes use this specific type of fabric with this specific thread count and this specific type of stitching. It's literally a bridge between the voice of the customer and the design team. So, with all this effort, how do you separate the companies that are just talking the talk from those that are truly walking the walk? Well, there are a few awards and certifications that have become the undisputed gold standard, the Oscars of quality, if you will. 1,000. What's so special about the number 1,000? Well, that is a perfect score, the maximum you can get on the application for the Malcolm Baldrige National Quality Award. It's the top prize for quality in the US, and let me tell you, it is brutally difficult to even come close to that number. So you've got the Baldrige Award in the States, which is all about overall business excellence. In Japan, the top honor is the Deming Prize. And then on a global scale, you have ISO 9000. That one's a little different. It's not really an award, it's a certification. It's like a seal of approval that says, yep, this company has a solid, documented quality system in place. For a lot of industries, you can't even be a supplier without it. Now, it's really important to be realistic here. TQM isn't some magic wand you can wave. A lot of TQM programs fail, and they almost always fail for the same handful of reasons. The biggest one, lack of real commitment from the top. If the leaders aren't living and breathing it, nobody else will. Or companies treat it like a flavor of the month program instead of a deep, long-term cultural shift. You can't just use the tools. You have to change the mindset. For TQM to actually work, it has to become part of the company's DNA. Which brings us back to that brilliant quote from Philip Crosby, "Quality is free." It's such a powerful idea. It's not a gift, he said, but it is free. Because the money you spend doing things right the first time is nothing compared to what it costs you when you don't. All the waste, all the rework, all the lost customers, that's what's expensive. Doing it right is just good business. So in the end, TQM is so much more than just a business strategy. It really is a mindset. It's about being obsessed with your customer, being committed to getting a little bit better every single day, and stopping problems before they can even start. And that really leaves us with one final thought to chew on. Forget about big companies for a second. Where is the biggest opportunity to improve quality in your own work, or even just in your own daily life?